At the beginning of the manhwa, we see 18 years ago, towers and gates started suddenly emerging. The monsters started flooding out of them. And a small group of people with superhuman abilities, who were called players, became the hope of humanity and grew into a new faction. And after that, we meet our protagonist, who is while waiting on the road, is watching a billboard where a player of South Korea, at the age of 18, is a unique ability holder is shown. Unique ability holders are the people with cheat-like abilities, superhuman among superhumans. In other words, they are like monsters among players. When he enters his home, we see her sister greeting him. He checks on his mother who is sleeping on her bed. Then her sister wishes him happy birthday with a cake as he is now of age 18. He asks her where she got the money. But she tells him that she's loaded. Even though her clothes are worn out, and their financial situation is not good, she bought him a cake. She hands him over a letter. When he opens the letter, it was a player invitation. He rejoices and tells that he is now a player. Now their lives can change, he can now obtain that. The scene shifts to the Korean Player Association. Kim Giju enters and is congratulated by a woman who informs him that he can access his player information by saying, "Status window." He does so, revealing his name as Kim Giju, level 1 with an unknown unique ability. Kim inquires about the mark next to his unique ability. The woman explains that he's a unique ability holder but hasn't awakened it yet, leaving him shocked and trembling. At this point, Yoo Suk-woo from the billboard approaches them and offers to guide Kim through the tutorial. With permission granted, they proceed to the portal zone leading into the tower. Upon arrival, they encounter numerous goblins on the first floor. Kim questions whether there are usually this many monsters present. He learns that an unusual spawn overlap has caused a monster horde, which is actually a blessing in disguise as it allows for quicker explanations. Suk-woo asks if has heard of the 100 goblin test. Despite its success, and it was used to measure hidden potential in players under level 10, it was banned for being too dangerous. Clearing the test within different time frames indicated varying potentials: high-class player, 4 to 5 hours, ranker, 2 to 3 hours, higher ranker, under 1 hour, and unique ability holder, 10 minutes. Kim marvels at how unique ability holders can achieve strength in just months compared to years for normal players. Their potential and growth speed are unimaginable. Finally, Suk-woo mentions the Angelic Guild where most members possess incredible talent, including their young guild master who is also a ranker. Most members of their guild possess incredible talent, completing the goblin test in under 3 hours. The plan is to create a guild that surpasses even Angelic Guild, requiring talented players like Giga C with unique abilities. Kim must continually push his limits in order to meet again in the tower. With this lengthy explanation over, they begin their first hunt. Kim readies his sword and focuses on the goblin's axe, determined to change his life. 5 years later, 2 men are seen discussing Kim's tardiness and how he attempts the popular goblin challenge. Initially thinking it would be difficult to kill 100 goblins, Kim was invited to the tower at 18 and gained a unique ability, a privilege for chosen ones. However, despite 5 years of effort, it still takes him an hour to kill a single goblin. Surprisingly, Kim remains at level 1 as an unexpected type of player. A man is seen killing a goblin, and everyone praises him for it, including their guide. The group has leveled up quickly by defeating the easy goblins on the first floor. Kim tells them that, tomorrow they will proceed to the second floor, where the famous person they've heard about will meet them at the entrance. Rumors circulate that this individual possesses a unique ability, but some doubt its validity since he's known as the lowest-ranked player. In reality, rankings only apply to top players, others keep their positions quiet. This guide has earned himself a nickname among players: the player that can't level up. After completing his daily work as a guide, he visits his secret spot on the first floor, an area rarely visited by other players. He discovered this place after exploring more than anyone else and found that 1 goblin spawns there each day. If he can kill it swiftly without being noticed, it would be an easy victory. However, when attempting to defeat today's goblin in his usual manner, it notices him and blocks his attack. They engage in battle with no clear winner, yet determined another challenging battle awaits him today. The scene shifts back to the Player Association, where it took an hour just to kill 1 goblin. After selling the crystal obtained from the goblin for 20,000 won and subtracting potion costs, Kim finds himself in debt again. He greets a man named Tae-oh, who is clocking out after working late. Confused, Kim heads back to an office and asks Tae Shik-hyung, who is guide department head, if something happened with Tae-oh. The guide department head explains that starting tomorrow, Tae-oh will be responsible for guiding people he met today. Then a news channel announces Angela Guild's intention to conquer the previously uncleared 75th floor and hold a departing ceremony at Soul's Gate tomorrow morning. Kim comments on how everyone talks about players even though most people will never come close to experiencing life as one. Taeshik responds by explaining that players are idealized because gates can open anywhere, and anyone has potential to become a player, thus making their world not so distant from everyday life. Kim switches off the TV, and Taeshik asks why. Kim responds vaguely, and thus Taeshik hands over him his pay, mentioning that Teo may seem cold but shouldn't be blamed for his actions. They agree to meet early tomorrow to provide Teo with necessary information. Meanwhile, a client has specifically requested Kim's services. The next day is sunny as Kim Seon-pil, Kim's client introduces himself, and Kim expresses gratitude towards Suk-woo. As the leader of the group, Kim requests introductions to Yoon Jae-hoon, Yoon Sung-woo, and Kim Han-yeol, who all anticipate working together. Kim informs them that they will clear the tutorial floor in 5 days starting today. He assumes they're prepared and will explain further details en route. The group decides to set up camp for now. When offered help, Kim declines, saying he can manage alone. Once they finish setting up their tent, they can rest. The aroma of the food is tantalizing. It's clear that someone among them has impressive cooking skills. As the meal is almost ready, everyone takes a seat. The group discusses their guide Yoon Jae-won and his unchanging level. They're free to ask him any questions they might have. Despite the danger in today's hunt, it wasn't as difficult as anticipated. The goblins on the first floor possess crude weapons which are easy to counteract, an ideal training ground for newcomers. As long as they remain vigilant and focus on leveling up, success will follow, unless they encounter a guardian deity of each floor, powerful boss monsters that require a guild or party to defeat them. Although these rare creatures offer substantial rewards in XP and items, even high-ranking players hesitate to face them alone. However, there's no need for excessive worry about guardians. Their respawn timers are monitored closely by specialized hunting guilds who subdue low-level ones quickly, making encounters with them quite rare. The scene shifts to Tower 4th floor at the border between forest and desert, where an orc runs frantically before collapsing onto the ground. A much larger orc kills and devours him shortly after. On the second day of the tutorial, they faced orcs on the tower's second floor. Though intimidating in size, orcs were slower than goblins and relatively easy to handle. By day 3, they encountered a horde of both orcs and goblins on the third floor. Fortunately, Gaidenim's secret tactic of turning them against each other with just a single stone was brilliantly effective. The group progressed smoothly thanks to Gaidenim, who is Kim, by choosing only safe routes for them. Meanwhile, Seon-pil diligently wrote in his diary every day since receiving their invitation. He pondered whether an autobiography might be possible if he ever became a ranker. As long as they survived tomorrow's challenges, the next test would be on the 5th floor, where they'd finally receive classes, something everyone eagerly anticipated. Next day, on the 4th floor, we see Kim observing from afar as his comrades fought stronger and faster orc and goblin hordes on the 4th floor. Suddenly sensing danger from an approaching dust cloud when no guardian should appear that day, Kim urgently instructed everyone to finish battling quickly and flee for safety. Years of experience had taught him that real-world tutorials could have deadly consequences. Even a brief lapse could lead to disaster for their entire party. A sense of foreboding washed over their bodies, who urged everyone to prepare for run. Injured players helped each other through a smokescreen towards the monsters, knowing they needed to escape quickly. They followed Kim, who knew of a hiding spot. Upon reaching a cave, the group caught their breath while discussing what had just happened. The creature resembled a giant orc and was believed to be the 4th floor's guardian. Unsure why it appeared, they decided to observe and wait for rescue with enough rations on hand. Hanul's condition worsened due to goblin poisoning but would improve once given an antidote from someone's bag. However, in recalling that his bag's zipper was open earlier, he realized the antidote had fallen out during their haste. Determined not to panic, he announced plans to go alone outside and signal for help using a flare atop a nearby hill. The current elevation wouldn't suffice. Despite others' concerns about danger, he assured them his extensive level 1 experience made him well prepared. However, unpredictable monster movements caused by the Guardian left him uncertain about this plan, as well, considering alternatives while keeping one last smokescreen as backup if needed. In just 3 minutes, he'll reach his objective, fire the flare, and return to the cave. All he has to do is avoid the Guardian. As the Red Aura Guardian attacks him, slashing through his back, he's thrown against a rock. A smoke screen falls from his bag, enveloping everything in smoke. Kim lies on the ground and realizes that out of all possible monsters, it had to be this one. He needs to escape quickly without falling for its tricks again. Firing a flare into the sky, Kim tries to put as much distance between them as possible while staying calm. After all, no one knows this place better than him. Suddenly Kim sees the door leading to 5th floor test, an almost certain death trap for someone like him at level 1. However, cornered by both certain death and uncertain death with Guardian approaching fast, he decides it's time to find out what's beyond that door. As he enters, the system begins verifying player data. You have entered the first testing site. The message repeats before announcing that a hidden ability has been deciphered. Upon meeting the required condition, he lies down on the ground. The first test's difficulty is significantly lower than expected. Kim rises and kills a goat with his sword, passing the test. His class is selected, his hidden ability is also unveiled, and he receives an improved quality reward. As Kim holds the sword, ready to face death, a dark shadow-like aura surrounds him. He finds himself in a void where a little boy's voice asks if he's his master. Confused by this question from what seems like an unintelligent being, Kim hesitates before naming it. The ego requests to link up with Kim, who agrees upon choosing its name. Suddenly back in reality, Taeshik and his sister rush towards him as he wakes up after 2 weeks of unconsciousness on the 5th floor. Kim presses the call button for assistance while learning about what happened during his absence. Guild players found a rampaging guardian near the 5th floor door but failed to capture it, leaving lingering concerns despite their efforts. The guardian was concerned they hadn't caught him, but relieved that Cyan Pill and his gang were safely rescued. On a call with his mom, he mentioned being discharged soon after a few more tests. He reassured her not to worry about the hospital bills since insurance covered them, and told Yi-young over speakerphone to stay home and care for their mother. He promised to contact them once he knew when he'd be discharged. Despite clearing the 5th floor, he remained at level 1. A ring appeared on his index finger as he entered the tower's 1st floor hunting grounds carrying a bag. His fame had spread, known now as the Tutorial Slayer rather than just the guy who can't level up. As goblins suddenly attacked, a red sparkle emitted from his hand, forming a sword which allowed him to swiftly eliminate all of them in one impressive move. Leaping towards the sky, he attacks with his sword, Ryu, emanating a red sparkle. With a single strike, he slashes through all the goblins. A system window appears in front of him displaying his information. Name Kim Gikyu, level 1, class Ego's partner, unique ability link. This ability allows him to link up with and synchronize with his ego, enabling the use of its powers. Ryu's stats are displayed as well: level 7, now level 8, STR 18, DX 18, Con 7, MAG 7, and skill is ACCSSO Rifle. Recalling how just yesterday he was terrified of a single orc while carrying crystals in his bag, now he is picking up these crystals tediously alongside Ryu. 1 month ago he became an Ego's partner. It wasn't just a dream after all. Glad that he came to the tower immediately after being discharged from hospital care for an illness that nearly took his life. However, worried about what Sister Yuzhong will say when they return home. He can't help but wonder how this mysterious link ability works and if mastering it should be their top priority. How does he connect with his so-called ego? He begins to think and tries some unusual moves with his hands and feet. Placing one arm on his head, he says, "Link up." A speechless, colorful sparrow watches him. Realizing his shoelaces are untied, he feels embarrassed but is relieved that the area is secluded. Wondering how to use this power, he just simply calls the name of the mysterious voice Ryu. Suddenly, a system voice announces that the ephemeral ego Ryu has been summoned. A silver sphere appears before him. It seems that Ryu doesn't have a set appearance yet due to the player's lack of ability. The system informs him that in order for Ryu to take physical form, it will absorb materials at its own discretion. Confused about what this means, he watches as the silver sphere starts sucking in its surroundings. Panicking over losing items worth millions of won from his bag, he tries to stop it but fails as even clothes get absorbed into the sphere, leaving only underwear behind. After taking everything within reach, a beam of light emerges from the sphere and Kim shields his eyes. As they adjust back to normal vision, Kim witnesses an ominous sword materialize before him. A demonic sword emerges from a sphere, and Kim sits on the ground with a blanket he found earlier. He asks the sword if it has an ego like a soul, but Ryu, the sword's spirit, confesses he doesn't know, while also humiliating Kim. Kim wonders if breaking their link is possible, but Ryu explains that only the master can sever it. Ryu admits that he could harm Kim once he regains control of his movements. However, doing so would also result in his own demise. When asked about feeling pain or emotions, Ryu confirms that as a great ego, he can experience all senses when set accordingly. Kim picks up a stone and starts hitting Ryu to test his sense of pain. The scene shifts to hunting grounds where they work together to defeat goblins and orcs. As they gain experience and level up through their battles, Kim reminisces about past victories with Ryu by his side, together forming a formidable team under Kim's mastery. Kim recalls a memory that how Ryu used to rebel quite a bit. Ryu says that only thinking about that makes his blood boil with happiness, feeling grateful for having such a great master. Excitedly, he suggests to his master that they venture outside today since it's been quite some time. The master proposes entering a gate next time instead of the tower. Taishik informs Kim about recent abnormal gates being discovered, like an F-rank gate turning out to be a C-rank one or gates with bizarre layouts. These occurrences haven't happened in 23 years but became frequent over the past few months. Taishik advises Kim to play it safe during these turbulent times and be patient despite being excited about using his unique ability. Kim appreciates Taishik's advice and promises to get home safely as Tutorial Slayer. Even though he dislikes the nickname, he knows crystals of higher purity, special items, and clear bounty gates are more profitable than the tower, but is still struggling to pay off loan interests. Despite Taishik's warning against entering abnormal gates due to their rarity and uncertainty, Kim decides it can't be helped. As he calls someone on his phone. And guys, here the recap ends. Please subscribe to our channel, MANWHA System, for the second part.